What are your crimes, Maher? Yes, what are your crimes, Maher? Did you beat your wife? Did you kick a pup? Well, find your crimes or make it up. Did you laugh at Hubbard? That's not nice, and now you'll have to pay your price. So what are your crimes, Maher? What have you done? Oh, it's too late now. Fair game's begun.
Hello and welcome back to the Intergalactic headquarters of Xenu TV, broadcasting throughout this entire sector of the galaxy and specializing, of course, on news here in our interplanetary capital city of Clearwater. So it's nice to have you here with us. And I do see we have Goblin AFK here. It's nice to see you. Hopefully we'll get a big sudden stream of people joining us because I've got a good show tonight. Got a TV show from England that is really well made. Lots of behind the scenes footage, hidden camera stuff, and it's one that I got on 12 lurkers. Good Lord. What the heck's going on here? We got lurkers? I didn't know we had lurkers. And I'm assuming it's Miscavige and the entire upper echelon of Scientology trying to hide from me. You won't get away with it. And I had a detente formed with Miscavige last night. So, you know, all you folks who are underlings, everything's smoothed over now. Miscavige and I are on the same page. That's the ticket, the same page. Marcy's here. Look at you. She's not hiding. Oh, and let's see. The Elk of Antioch. I like that. Hail, Lord Bunker of Farsec. Praise him with great praise. That's the best praise. If you're going to praise me with great praise, okay? None of this lackluster praise. I am so fed up with people not putting their all into the praise. Let's see. No hiding from Marcy, who's waving to everybody. So here I am. I'm not hiding. Yeah, Kelly, don't they know who you think you are? Benebek 33. Hello. I don't think I've run across you before. Oh, please. Enough with the praise, for heaven's sakes. I don't know where you get this idea that I need to be praised, for heaven's sakes. Jay's favorite show is on. Bunky, how about that? I got to tell you, though, if I weren't doing this right now, I'd be watching something better than this. That's just me. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you enjoyed this. But there are actual, I'm an Emmy winner for sure. So this is quality stuff I'm spitting out here into the universe. But there's professionals out there making TV shows and movies that I think are amazing. You know what? This is I'm just going to get this off my chest. Yeah, because this has been bugging me for years now. I don't. Do you ever watch Real Time with Bill Maher? I tend to watch it. It's been something that I've watched for years and years and years, and I don't always agree with him. Sometimes he gets me upset. But you know who gets me really upset? There's one guy who's always in the audience, who's constantly going "woo" at everything, and he's got to be on staff. It drives me insane. 49ers for Life likes Bill Maher. I like him too. I've been watching him. Mike Rinder used to watch him as well. So sometimes, I don't always agree with Bill Maher, but this guy's got to be on the payroll because he's there every show and has been for as long as I can remember. And every week it drives me nuts. And I keep telling myself, I'm going to do a video to show what it's like with this guy wooing constantly. And I finally did that. So I put this out here. Let's, if you don't mind, let's take a quick look at this so I can vent. This is the woo guy.
Show and looks very secret. Yeah, I'm 36 with you. Your kid got many things. Nice. Hey, fuck you.
All right. Well, the language, Bill, I'm sorry. I didn't realize he was going to be that frank. But yeah, that's every single woo from this guy, and every time he woos, I get a little more upset. So hopefully putting this video out into the world now, everything's going to change and he'll never woo again. So let's see what we got here. Nurse Lori is here, and JB808 says, I loved seeing the clip of you in Fiddler on the Roof. Let me tell you a little something about that. I'm glad you liked it. I played that as part of a video where we showed a full segment out of 60 minutes. I thought if anybody's going to complain about copyrights, it would be the fine folks at CBS who produce a stellar news program decade after decade. But no, I got a ding against me for copyright issues because I sang "If I Were a Rich Man" in that video last night, and somebody said, "Hey, we own the rights to the lyrics and the music to that song, so we're taking all the ad revenue." Okay, you can have it. That's fine. It just amazed me that that little clip of me singing is copyright infringement. The ending made you cough on your Pepsi. You mean Bill Maher's little closing comment? Is that what you're referring to? Woo, how dare you? Kelly, you're right. People sing songs on their channels all the time. It's true. It's like, somebody's got a vendetta against me. It's like there's an organization maybe that's saying, oh, you should give him a copyright strike because he's singing your song. I don't know. It's just crazy. And it's Kelly's asking what happens if I fight it. There's no need to fight it. It doesn't go against the channel, actually. It's not one of those things. If you get 3 of these, your site's gone. Nowadays, if you got a copyright problem, they say, it's no strike against you. You can keep the video up there. Just you can't make any revenue from it. I probably was not going to make that much revenue out of me singing "If I Were a Rich Man" anyway. I mean, good Lord, I didn't make much revenue when I was doing it live, 8 shows a week. I think in the entire run, I made $60. But it was not a professional theater, and it was a dream role for me. So I'm not complaining about that. Goblin says, take it as a compliment, I guess. Your version must be the definitive fiddler. Yeah. Forget all this Topol stuff and Herschel Bernardi and all these folks. You know the one that amazed me the most? Who's that guy? The guy who wrote the music for Hairspray, Harvey Fierstein, did it on Broadway with that raspy voice of his. And I can't imagine seeing the whole show with it. Golda, do you love me? Oh well. Up here, he got a lot of praise for it. Did he do? My virgin ears. Oh, LOL. There you go. Bad Sneakers is here. Where's Bad Sneakers? I don't think I've ever seen Bad Sneakers other than in my closet. Well, there you go. Bad Sneakers is right there. Keep up the great bookmark. Well, thank you, Sneakers. I'm glad you snuck in. Oh boy. Time to sing "Hello, my baby, hello, my honey" to see if Michigan J. Frog wants his cut. There's a great cartoon for you. One of the best from Chuck Jones, the finest animation director ever. I don't care what anybody says. Sure, I love Tex Avery. Yeah, there's people that I think are stellar. Chuck Jones is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. James says, my new fave soundtrack on YouTube is Paul Horn plays his flute in the King's Chamber inside the Great Pyramid. Wow. I'll have to check that out. JB808 says, do you have a dream role you'd like to play on stage? Well, Tevye was always the one that I most wanted to do. The other one that I really enjoyed doing, I did it twice, was the lead in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which was tons of fun. Although the productions I was in were pretty lame. So, but I don't know if you know the show. It's where the song Comedy Tonight comes from. And it was the first Broadway score by Stephen Sondheim, although it doesn't really resemble much of his later work. But it's got a great book. The script is from a couple really terrific writers. Bert Shevlov, I believe, was one of them, and Larry Gelbart, who went on to create the TV version of MASH. And it is a salute to burlesque and vaudeville comedy, and it's a very funny show. So to have a chance to do that type of shtick on stage, I greatly loved. But we didn't have directors who really understood the material, especially the second time. I was miserable the second time, and I almost quit because the director didn't like the script. Well, then why are you doing it? He didn't understand the script, and he wanted to do, stuff that was not at all in the tradition of the great classic comics. Like, for instance, here, Broadway lore for you. They take a Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, starring Zero Mistel and Jack Gilford, on the road before the Broadway opening, and they're trying to get an opening number for it that works, because the show's just not working. They try a few different numbers. Love is in the air. They canned that. And finally, at the last moment, they came up with something appealing, something appalling, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Okay, there you go. Copyright strike against me. But I mean, it's very famous that opening number saved the show, because it introduced the crowd to something where they know, oh boy, well, this should be fun. And it was when Nathan Lane did it on Broadway as well. But our director said, you know what we should do? As the audience is pouring in to the theater, we'll just have the actors kind of stumble out on stage and just kind of hang out and talk to one another. And no, you don't do that, because the audience is going, oh, the show's starting. I guess we're supposed to be watching this, and this is dull. And I've done that type of thing in other shows before, but dramas, where it doesn't really matter. But here, you want to open up those curtains and just hit them with a sacco number. So it was frustrating having folks who didn't care or didn't understand the material. Unstoppable. Look at that, a super sticker from, where is that? Unstoppable SP. Thank you so much for the super sticker. If I have to sing songs to get it, I will gladly do so. Thank you so much. I think Fagin from Oliver would be a fun role, says JB808. Yeah, I wanted to play Fagin years and years and years ago when I was like in high school, I think, or probably maybe just the beginning of college. There was a summer theater program in Wisconsin where if you got cast in this company, you would get the tour of the state to little towns that never get theater. Oliver is a show that I did, but they said, Mark, you can be Fagin for one night if you want, or if you want to be Mr. Bumble, you can be in every performance, because there was multiple casts for the show. So they kind of lured me in with being on stage every night instead of every third night or whatever. So instead I sang the songs for Mr. Bumble. I'll leave her, never before has a boy wanted more. I'll leave her, won't ask for more if he knows what's in store. There's a dark, thin, winding stairway without any banister, which will throw him down and feed him on cockroaches served in a canister. I'll leave her. See, I haven't sung that song in decades. I saw a clip of Orson Welles reciting Shylock's monologue from Merchants of Venice the other night, says Goblin AFK. It was from the Dean Martin show. Masterful. And that's that's the great fun of some of these old shows where you go, really? Orson Welles gets to do a Shakespearean monologue? Wow. So, you don't usually see stuff like that anymore. In fact, you don't see Dean Martin much anymore. Ever since he dropped dead, he's been in hiding, seems. Man. But the other, to get back to that important question that was asked earlier, is there a favorite role that I'd love to do? So I've done the two big Zero Mostel parts that I always wanted to do, both Fiddler on the Roof and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. But he also did the movie version of The Producers, and I think the musical version of it is absolutely brilliant, and I would love to be able to do it someday. But I think it may not be possible anymore. It doesn't get done that often. And, I'll probably drop dead before it gets done around here again. But I would desperately love to do that show. And I think that's the only other show that I really would love to do. Otherwise, do I need to get on stage? No. I mean, the world craves a Mark Bunker performance. I understand that. But, I mean, for myself, Do I have any recommendations for creating good quality AI audio from text? Asks the Scientology Experience. I don't. I usually find that text to speech never really quite cuts it, but I have tried some of that from 11 Labs. I have a subscription to 11 Labs, which is a company that does audio, AI audio online, and they're one of the leaders of it. And what I've been doing there is using the voice changers. Like when I did the fake commercial of the Scientologists, I recorded all the dialogue myself, and then I went to that site and chose different voices for each of the performers. So you would have my performance in a different voice. And that you can control far more than just writing text and turning it into speech. Because I tried that and I saw, this will never work. But it's getting better. I mean, I as I mentioned the other night, I did an editorial from the Tampa Bay Times about Scientology, and I turned that into an audio with text to speech. And something like that is fine because they're it's somebody reading from the newspaper. It's not like you need to have amazing performances from that. Oh, hey, look at this from Kelly. Look at this. Want to join Bunkology and have access to private uploads? Well, link to subscribe, gift, or sign up for memberships. Hey, that's good advice. Hey, I like that. Also, and we have a merch shop on the YouTube channel, and my God, oh my Lord, the world is flooded now with Wise Beard Man shirts and hats and caps and all sorts of things. You can get a mouse pad. We've got some for Xenu's Playhouse. We've got Bunkinetics. And some mugs and things for that. And oh man, you can't keep them on the shelves because nobody's stocking them. But they are available if you wanted to go to my store. Oh man. And as I say, they're flying off the shelves, mainly because I don't have any shelves. I've sold one mouse pad so far. So thank you to the person who bought that. I really appreciate it. Where'd that go? Bring it up here because this is, it's a compliment. So, of course, I'm going to read it. Not a Streamer Bros says, you are a wealth of all kinds of knowledge, aren't I? Aren't I? That's why I've got one of these. Hey, they don't give these to dumb clucks, It's my Emmy. Go down there. Sit down there. The cats can play with it now. And thanks for the $1.99. I appreciate that. Have I seen The Other Side of the Wind, the Orson Welles final film? Yeah, I did. I was very, very pleased. For those of you who aren't Orson Welles fanatics like I am, and apparently Goblin AFK is, Orson had through most of his career had to finance his own movies. And he was one of the really forerunners of independent filmmakers because the studios were interfering with his movies. And then they finally said, well, we don't even want to make your movies. So he would raise money to make a lot of great Shakespearean adaptations like his Macbeth and Othello. And so he would be doing radio shows back in the 40s and 50s, and then he did a lot of TV commercials in the end of his life that I don't know if any of you ever saw these or remember these, but he did a series for some wine. What was the name of it? We will sell no wine before it's time. Something like that. And so the last film that he shot is The Other Side of the Wind. And for decades, it had been left unfinished because of all the folks who did put some money into it. They all were saying, it's my film. It's my film. We own the rights to this. And Wells actually had kind of put it in the trunk of his car and drove off with the actual footage from the film. And that's been locked away I think in Paris for several decades. But finally, Netflix said, hey, we're going to finish that movie. And they got people like Peter Bogdanovich, his good friend, involved in it, and a lot of other folks who are big fans of Orson Welles. And they went back and tried to put together the film that Orson intended. It's not a great film. It's great to see it. It's great that somebody finally, after decades, said, by God, we're going to get this done. And what's really great about it is Netflix not only went all out to make it an important release for them. But they also did a documentary about it, and put it all in context. And it was great to see some Welles tribute there on Netflix, where I don't think there's anything else from Orson Welles on the channel. And there are not a lot of classic movies on Netflix. When I was working on the phone lines for Netflix, you get people calling up saying, well, we subscribe, but you don't have anything. You don't have you don't have John Wayne movies. You don't have this, that, the other. Well, we don't have every movie ever made. That's true. But people just expect every single film from every studio will be on this service that you're paying, I guess now, like $20 for. All right. Have you seen Severance yet? Ask Bert Pineapple. Yes, indeed. I love Severance. I think it's an amazing show. Apparently, ex-Scientologists are saying it's a hard watch for them because of high control situations depicted. Yeah, I see people are doing videos about that. I haven't watched any of them because I don't really get a chance to watch much of anything. And I know people are saying that there's comparisons between Scientology and Severance. I just love Severance as a show. And I'm going to leave it at that. Listen. Since everybody is being so kind to me today, asking these lovely questions, doing the super chat thing, and of course you're going to flock to the store and buy me out. I had something shocking happen to me tonight that I'll share with you. And I like to share all the shocking stuff. Yesterday, I was talking about, and I've mentioned it before, footage from a Free Zone convention in Las Vegas. I was invited or welcomed into this conference from the Free Zone. Ray Robles was in charge of it. He probably still is. And he sat down and did an interview for me. And I filmed him doing a little auditing session with me just to show how that is, how that works. And I was taking a quick peek at that today. And I also was able to shoot all these panels. And one I mentioned the other day, my favorite of them all was this panel where they showed you how to visit another planet. I went, okay, that's the one I really want to see. So I have it all on videotape. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I got this show I'm going to show tonight, but let's dig up that footage and let's play that panel. And I was shocked to discover that it's not on this hard drive where it should be. This is all the stuff that was from my shoot for Knowledge Report, the documentary I was working on. And all, the vast majority of everything is here. All the interviews I did, all the B-roll, all that kind of stuff. But the Free Zone conference isn't. And that meant, oh, wow. I mean, that's bothering me. But it's probably on another hard drive somewhere because I have so many hard drives that have been full and then had some problems. So I copied them off onto a new one. That's why this one here says new KR, because the old KR started acting up. And I still have it sitting somewhere. So hopefully if that footage is on there, I'll be able to find it and recover it still. But the other sad thing is I unplugged this incorrectly yesterday. I have all these hard disks on my Mac computer in the office, and I have to take one out here to do all the digitizing of all these shows and things on VHS and mini DV. So I'll swap it back and forth. And yesterday I was unplugging the one that was for that drive. I used to do that. And unfortunately, I unplugged this one instead. and it said, hey, you unplugged that improperly, and now that computer is not recognizing this drive. Luckily, it is being recognized on this window drive that I'm on right now. So it's not hopeless. I can transfer this over to yet another new drive. But, I am a working stiff, and money is tight. And I don't have the money to buy a new hard drive. So if you are interested, I do have one in my wish list on Amazon. And if anybody is interested in helping out, that would be terrific. I'm not putting pressure on you. Don't think that I'm going to think poorly if you don't buy me a hard drive. I understand. I just thought, wish list is probably a good idea to slap it on there. Last of Us 2 coming out in a few weeks. Yes, Oreo Ritz. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. I thought Last of Us 1 was spectacular. And it's the type of thing where you go, do I need another zombie show? And they did a really spectacular job with it. And I got to tell you, this Pedro Pascal, he's amazing. And if you haven't seen it, I've mentioned this before. He did a movie with Nicolas Cage, where both of them are very funny. And somebody had the actual name of the film. What was it? The Unbearable Weight of Talent, or the Unbearable Something of Talent. But it is very funny. And I'd only see him doing dramatic stuff before, but he was great in this comedy with Nicolas Cage. And he's turned into one of the best hosts of Saturday Night Live as well. So that's great to see. And he just seems like a nice guy. Let's see. Ooh, Justice, I envy you. She's fine today because she took a long sleep. So that was nice, if I'm honest. Well, I understand completely. I wanted to take one of those little naps myself earlier, but been busy. Dang, Mark, be careful with your drive. Good things it works on another computer, but it may have caused a small hard drive corruption. Yeah, there is every possibility of that. But I did get some software as well a month or two ago. Some really top-notch hardware to recover damaged hard drives. So hopefully everything's going to be okay. Just need some new drive to put everything on. How long have I been babbling now? Half an hour. It's a half an hour. Last of Us is one of the few video game storylines that works as a live action show movie. It works because the folks who put it together did a remarkably good job with it. You can have a video game turn into a good movie. Just usually they don't try very hard. And I'll be interested to see what they do with the second season. I have not played either. I know there's at least 2 games out there for Last of Us. Unbearable Weight of Talent with Nicolas Cage. Absolutely. If you haven't seen it, see it. Pedro Pascal's been in so many movies and TV shows lately. There's a little one I bought on Amazon for like $4.99. It's a science fiction film that he made where he's kind of the bad guy. Can I think of the name of it right now? No, but when I started the sentence, I thought, I know the name of this movie. It was really good, though. So check it out. He's crashed on this planet with there's a a young gal. Her dad has died apparently, and Pedro is the villain trying. Oh, they're mining on the planet. I think they were like, this is the family business. She and her pop would go to different planets and get the rare mineral or whatever from it, and then he drops dead, and she's stuck on the planet there. And Pedro is the bad guy saying, "Oh, I can take over everything that they've mined." So if you have a chance, look that up. Let's see. I personally think the story of Last of Us 2 isn't the best, but that's just going off the game. And I understand, I won't talk about any of it, but I understand there is a loss of a character in the second game that they have to deal with. Question from Animal Audit Corner. Is that what? Oops, where there? How long has the town been empty for, and when is tourist season there in Clearwater? Well, it's it's tourist season now, and the beach is swamped. It's, what is it, spring break? I know I had to pick some people up on the beach last weekend, I think, and it was miserable fighting the traffic to get down there. But don't worry, there's plenty of space downtown still. If you want to come to Clearwater, there's lots of tables open at the restaurants, and you can walk the streets there without bumping into people. Because here, tourist season downtown really never amounts to anything. 49ers, the TV show might expand part 2 into 2 to 3 seasons. Oh, God, no, there you go. I was trying not to say that. On there, sorry, folks, for that spoiler that was in there. I should read these before I put them on screen. Let's see. Oh, look, starred. There's starred up here. Were you on Concrete Podcast? Ask Multiplayer Madness. Since I don't know what it is, I would say no. Concrete Podcast? Somebody fill me in. Interesting. And the Scientology Experience says, hey, when adding items to your cart from your wish list, it only gives the option to mail to own name and address, not mine. I did not know that because I've never used the wish list before. I will, when we get done here, I'll see what I can do to sort that thing out. All right. Back to live. Prospect. Yes. Thank you. Prospect is the name of that movie. And it's not a breathtakingly brilliant movie, but it is a solid little sci-fi film. And I always appreciate that. I think Danny Jones is Concrete. So that's one of the YouTube channels. I don't get out much. Who's did I do the other day? This past weekend, I was on with Apostate Alex, and we had fun. I admire everything that he's done over at St. Hill, East Grinstead, dealing with the city council there. And so he invited me on to talk a little bit about Scientology's goals, why they are trying to safe point the council there in East Grinstead, why they are buttering up with, invitations to the mansion and meeting Tom Cruise and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, they're using you. Pure and simple. What do I prefer, HD or SSD? I love SSD, but Yeah, I don't know how. I understand there's only so much wear and tear they can take, um, and I have a few SSD. I don't care. I just need something that works. Yeah, you ought to be ashamed. I try hard. People say, no spoilers. I don't want to hear anything. And so I try not to say anything about Severance. When they discover that, I just say, hey, I love Severance. You should see it. Bert Pineapple lives near St. Hill, and he's visited a few times under a fake name. That's the best way to do it. I know that's what I did when I was visiting places like the Celebrity Center and Big Blue. Although, I stopped using the fake names once they knew who I was, and I would just go to like remote orgs. Like I drove over to, oh God, geez, is it Tucson? Seems like there's some, Phoenix. Yeah, I drove over to Phoenix and visited the org there, which was a nice org. And it had a huge wraparound parking lot, and I saw at least 2 cars parked there, 3 with mine. And I wandered in, and there was like a 16-year-old Sea Org kid at the cavernous desk in the front office there. He was thrilled to see me, and then I wandered around pushing buttons on the little video displays, and he was asking me if I wanted to sign up, and I said, well, unfortunately, I'm not in the area. I was just visiting. But I did, when I went in there, I put down my name, my address, and I'm glad I did. Because a week or 2 later, I got a letter from him saying, come on in and take a course. No, I don't think I'm going to, but at least, he got his stats up if his stats involved sending out letters to people. Let's see. How many active members do I believe are still in Scientology? Well, I like the profile pic there. I just have to go off what the other folks who have greater knowledge than I have, somewhere around 20,000 to maybe 30,000 at the most, is what I hear. Who was it? I think it may have been Mark Headley, who said, well, they only make like 5,000 e-meters. They only manufacture 5,000 of them, and everybody's supposed to have 2 of those. So there can't be that many Scientologists, or they're not buying their e-meters. Let's see. Undercover bunker, yes, indeed. Although I do find it much more fulfilling to put my own name down there now and see if they've heard of me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I went to the what's the local org in Tampa? Oh God, the old cigar factory that they took over. When they had a grand opening, open house weekend. So I went over there and signed in Mark Bunker. And, I figured I'm only like 30 minutes away from Flag. They must know me there, but they didn't. And I actually went in and said, is it okay if I take some pictures and shoot a little video? And they said, sure, go ahead. So I wandered around shooting video in there. And one of the earlier streams, I did show how a couple of those volunteer ministers gave me a demonstration of a touch assist. And one of the Scientologists was nice enough to hold the camera as the other Scientologist was like massaging my back with their fingers before they finally said, there's something going on here. So that's always fun. Oh heavens! Oreo Ritz, Animal Audit, you still here? Where's when there's streams, videos of YouTube on Clearwater? It looks like a zombie apocalypse happened in the area. Eerie ghost town vibes. Well, it's not that bad when you're here. Sometimes it's hopping. There's certainly one business downtown, the Dueling Piano Bars, that is very successful. I tend to think that I thought there was hope for the downtown. I'm not sure now with the L. Ron Hubbard Hall going up. While OTA John Allender claims there are millions of Scientologists on Twitter. Well, it's easy to make that claim, isn't it? How many people are actually subscribed to the Scientology YouTube channel? I don't think it's that many. But it sure is easy to say there are millions of Scientologists out there. I mean, they've been saying that for decades. Marcy saw the video with the touch assist and thought it was great. Thank you. Are Scientology members really stuck up? Can they be funny and have memes? Well, I think they can. I mean, joking and degrading about Scientology is a high crime. But, when I knew Tori and her husband, when they were in Scientology, they were fun. I went out and had lunch with Tori wasn't there, but Harold, her husband, went out to, I think, Ponderosa with us, with the critics when we were protesting one time. And Scientologists, as far as I can tell, are people, and some of them are funny, some of them are delightful. Every once in a while, you find a cranky one, but I don't, I don't really have anything bad to say about Scientologists, because I think they're all are decent people trying to save the planet. They just happen to believe in L. Ron Hubbard, just the way there are people who happen to believe in a certain presidential administration that's going on right now. How are they still tax exempt after everything that's been said and done by people who left and escaped? I'll tell you how. Nobody cares. The government can't, and this has been true for many administrations now, the government's not interested in taking on Scientology. And the government on the federal level has a hard time just accomplishing anything. Unless, of course, you bring a chainsaw. If you have billions and you have a chainsaw, you can just completely ruin people's lives, and you can jeopardize Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. And so in that regards, somebody's getting something done. Nothing that helps us, though. But you need somebody who is willing to champion this, and there's not much in it for politicians. You get somebody brave like Senator Xenophon in Australia, who actually made a difference, at least for a while, taking on Scientology, calling them a cult, from the stand, or Councilmember Bunker. He was brave enough to call out Scientology. But on a federal level, you need somebody who's willing to say, let's have hearings in Congress about their tax exempt status. There's nobody there that we can turn to for that. All right, justice checked. There are 93,500 people subscribed to Scientology YouTube. Funny how those tens of millions of other people just don't bother to look at their channel. It's amazing. Yeah, there are so many more folks who are subscribed to channels that are critical of Scientology. Granted, they've got almost twice as many people as I have. I think I'm just around 40,000 people now. But you would think a worldwide global phenomenon like Scientology, good Lord, They must have 10 million members. Nope. And as Kelly mentions, there's also a lot of fake accounts there too. And Bert is subscribed so he can keep an eye on them. So there you go. That's one less Scientologist on that channel. Okay, now it's 50 damn minutes that I've been yapping away here without showing you the video that was supposed to be the centerpiece of tonight. Would anyone like to take a look at this video? This is from the UK, and it is really a terrific show from the 1990s, I believe. A show called The Big Story. As a matter of fact, in the description on the channel, I did put the broadcast date on this. Let me take a quick look here. Yes, this originally aired on July 13th, 1995. How about that? And it's still one of the best that I have seen out there. And anytime somebody gets hidden camera footage, that's always a big win. And this is loaded with it. There actually was, it's the most interesting thing that I found years ago, a local TV station somewhere in the Midwest that went undercover in a little org inside a mall. They had a little kiosk, like where you're selling jewelry or some sort of trinkets out in the hallway of the mall. Scientology had one of those little kiosks, and they would try to get you in then to the storefront in the mall and get you signed up. And so this local station went in with a hidden camera, and they got some footage there. I have that footage. It's not good quality, but I will bring that out back into the open again. I used to have it on the Xenu TV site, and I did find the real video version of that on a DVD recently. So why don't we, if you wouldn't mind, take a look at this really great show. And I think you'll like it. Here we go.
This is the program the Scientologists didn't want you to see. They've done all they can to stop it.
Why? Because the big story has secretly filmed inside the cult to reveal its bizarre mind control techniques. This man is talking to an ashtray. And this man is supposed to be teaching communication skills. Tonight, as worldwide concern mounts over cults, we go inside one of the biggest in Britain.
I like that open. And by the way, I was amazed, because when I put these videos on YouTube, and I haven't put up copyrighted material like this in a long time, but because they have changed the rules now where the copyright owner can claim it and make money off of it, I don't feel guilty about it now. So I put up this, and I put up the 60 Minutes piece, and they do their little check to see if you have any copyrighted material, and they say, no, that's good, you're fine. So we're going to play this, and it'll be okay. But then they'll give me a strike because I sang at least one or two songs tonight. How dare you sing comedy tonight? What? You sang a song from Oliver, for God's sakes. All right. Back to the brilliant show. Oops.
Prompted by recent cases involving Scientologists, we began to investigate what goes on inside these seemingly harmless little shops that are in high streets all over Britain. The results of our inquiry are disturbing. They're reinforced this week by a new report from independent American cult experts who've also come up with new evidence about Scientology.
Of all the cult groups we've studied for the last 2 decades now, Scientology has shown itself consistently to be the most effective in terms of its recruiting, and more importantly, potentially the most damaging in terms of its effects on its members.
So is Scientology a harmless fringe religion, or is it a sinister sect that controls the minds of its members? To find out, The Big Story has sent an undercover reporter inside the organization.
But first, a military intelligence consultant and some former Scientologists drilled Big Story reporter Ali Davis in how to pass Scientology's security checks.
And then you explain it in your own words, okay? Are you a journalist? What does this question mean to you?
It means, do I work in journalism?
Just a little bit of movement there still on that when I asked you that question. Just not much, but just a little bit. Let's just ask it you again so you feel a bit more comfortable. I'll check this question with you. Are you a journalist?
No.
Ali is learning to handle the E-meter, a primitive lie detector.
Do that question again. Are you a journalist?
No.
Good.
She'll frequently encounter security checks like this once inside Scientology.
To answer this question, how did they do this without modern slim cell smartphones? They used to have all sorts of hidden cameras you could use, like having one in a suitcase, or not a briefcase rather. So you can set your briefcase down on the table, or they could put it into a pair of glasses like this. I actually had a pair of spy glasses at one point, and I didn't use it on Scientology. I decided to test it out, and I just went to the library and was walking around the library and shooting some footage, and I discovered it's really hard to get good footage when you're walking around because everything's going nuts. And if you want to have steady footage, you have to stay steady. And there's something unsettling about somebody who's talking to you without trying to move. So not the best device, but they also, even back then, they could hide things in like a button on your shirt, or have a little pen that you'd put in your pocket with a camera sticking out of the top of it. Oh, there's all sorts of devious things that were on the market even back then.
Ali sets off for Poole in Dorset, home of one of Scientology's most successful missions. Some of Ali's experiences were captured by her secret camera. Others we have reconstructed from the notes she made immediately afterwards. On Poole High Street, she's approached within minutes by a young man with a clipboard.
Right, I'd love down here to ask people questions. So, first question. If you could be anything in life, what would you most like to be?
Explorer.
Claiming to promote a...
Now, I would wager that she is wearing the spy glasses because he's looking her directly in the eyes in that video, and she does a much better job than I did of trying to keep the camera steady.
Book. The young man persuades Ali to go with him to his office to complete a survey. It's 40 minutes before he admits he works for the Scientologists. This is how most people are recruited into Scientology, but they don't know the true beginnings of this so-called science of the mind. Scientology was created by this man, Lafayette Ron Hubbard, or plain Ron to his followers. From within Hubbard's inner circle, his PR man, Vaughan Young, worked on Ron's chief ambition for 20 years.
Hubbard literally had a plan for world conquest. He actually literally wanted to take over the world. But he had to put it into other terms, and the term he came up with was to clear the planet. And this sounds like a very beneficent action. We're going to clear the planet, which means rid it of its problems. But really, it was more of a case like a Hitler, that he wants to rid the planet of vermin. And the vermin are the people that are stopping him. And these were basically the enemies of Scientology.
Scientologists dismiss as propaganda all criticism of Ron Hubbard, the church, or their beliefs from former members, or apostates as they call them. But there are plenty of independent sources too.
Science fiction writer Hubbard created a colourful life history for himself, claiming to be a nuclear physicist, explorer, and war hero. This was exposed as the myth it was by Sunday Times journalist Russell Miller.
Ron Hubbard was a charlatan, a liar, a confidence trickster, a thief. He invented his whole life. He invented a career to substantiate himself as a guru for the Church of Scientology.
In 1968, Hubbard was banned from Britain and took to the high seas. The crew of mostly young followers became the elite core of Scientology, the Sea Organization.
Do you ever think that you might be quite mad?
Oh, yes. The one man in the world who never believes he's mad is a madman.
Hubbard's organization fought back against bans and adverse publicity worldwide to become a multi-million-dollar empire controlling a myriad of interlocking companies. Hubbard left $650 million when he died in 1986. Scientology then passed to a new master, David Miscavige. For 5 months, Miscavige's private office was managed by Vaughan Young's wife, Stacy.
His viciousness and his cruelty to staff was unlike anything I had ever experienced in my life. He wanted me to carry out a lot of his vindictive orders. He just loved to degrade the staff. He got a kick out of it. He thought it was funny. Anybody who didn't think it was funny, like I didn't, was very suspect.
Back in Poole, Ali agreed to complete a personality test at home for the Scientologists. This is their standard recruiting technique. She planned to drop it off at the centre and return the next day for her results, so she wasn't wearing her secret camera gear. But the Scientologists were determined she should wait. After more than an hour's wait, she was eventually ushered in to see Debbie, the registrar.
When I was in Debbie's office the first night, I spoke about a relationship breakup, and she really dug into that. She made me actually feel really bad about that, although I actually I'm completely over it. She then went through the personality test. She showed me all these things that were wrong with me, that I had bad communication skills, that I had negative attitude, things that really I don't have in real life, that she made out that I had.
This grinding down of Ali's confidence went on for an hour until Ali paid £40 for help that Debbie said she needed. Before Ali went undercover, Dr. Brian...
Just a quick answer. Yes, Stacy was instrumental in helping shape my understanding of Scientology. She and Robert... or Vaughan Young, his name was Robert Vaughan Young, but he always went by Vaughan Young. They were married, and that dissolved, and then she was with Bob. And I never got a chance to meet with Vaughan, although I've always admired the work that he did after leaving Scientology. He was also the best spokesperson I think that Scientology ever had. And I showed at least one video of an appearance that he made with L. Ron Hubbard Jr., Ron DeWolf. The two of them appearing on a PBS show together. They did a couple of those that I've got on tape. And he was the guy who wrote all the important memos or articles on how journalists should deal with Scientology, how Scientology treats journalists, how they try to yank them around. And then by the time Vaughan passed away, it was very early into the Lisa McPherson Trust years. He testified on videotape in a deposition for the Lisa McPherson civil case, I believe. And I have some of that video. I had it online before, Since it was settled, I don't know whether I can play that video anymore. I would have to find out whether that's allowed or not. But he certainly made a huge impact. He and Stacy both did. And it's always great to see him in some of these earlier videos. And Stacy, of course, became the president of the Lisa McPherson Trust. And I worked closely with her and was friends with her. And after Bob died, I went and paid a visit to her in Ireland, where the two of them had been living. And now, enough from me. Here we go.
Tully, a leading consultant clinical and forensic psychologist, had already given her a properly validated personality test.
Ready to go. I'd like you to start the test now, and I'll come back in about 35 minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Dr. Tully's findings were rather different to those of the Scientologists.
As far as one can understand this form, they're more or less saying that she has some desirable qualities, but she has a whole range of undesirable and poor communication skills. Now, that's just not true. On a scientifically validated test, we find that actually she's a very warm person. She likes to get involved with people at a very early stage. She's emotionally stable. She's open to new experience and interests.
Hello, Tally.
Ali embarks on a communications course costing £50, designed to remedy her supposed lack of communication and relationship skills. These are a series of bizarre exercises. Her partner recites a series of numbers. When he moves on to letters, she must persuade him to go back to numbers.
Oh. Go back to numbers again. I was just getting interested in those. And then the numbers were really interesting. Thanks, yeah.
In another corner of the room, a man is learning how to control an ashtray by telling it to stand up and sit down. Now Ali's partner pretends to be a child who has wet his pants. Ali must respond appropriately.
You don't have to be ashamed about that. Lots of kids do that when they first come to school. Yeah, 34. What do I say? Just say the number.
There are also several kids doing communication courses, presumably the children of staff and other members.
7. Actually, 7 should be.
We've reconstructed another training routine from the notes Ali made immediately afterwards. She had to stare fixedly into someone's eyes for over an hour. She even found herself hallucinating.
The staring routines were supposed to make you feel comfortable being with other people, just looking at them. The more you looked at someone, sometimes they changed shape, they grew scales, became like a lizard, or changed from negatives to positives. It was a really strange experience.
Fencing contractor Gary Fry gave the Scientologists £21,000 under the influence of these staring routines.
I actually stared into somebody's eyes for an hour and a half, just continually. And straight afterwards, I was taken upstairs to buy more courses. And I can remember just handing over, well, actually signed a piece of blank paper with my initials, and then gave them, they typed a letter of authority in around it, and I gave them my Building Society book, and they just went and drew out what they wanted.
When I count from 1 to 7, your eyes will close. You will remain aware of everything which goes on.
Now, speaking of robotic, in this reconstruction here, I can't believe how ominous they make this process look. This real droning type of hypnosis thing.
You'll be able to remember everything that happens here. You can pull yourself out of anything which you get into if you don't like it. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. 1, 2.
Another technique
3,
is what the Scientologists call auditing.
6, 7. Locate an incident that you feel you can comfortably face. Go to the beginning of that incident.
I'm in my boyfriend's flat, and we're having a huge argument. I've seen him on the street with another girl, and I've asked him about it, and he hasn't denied it. And I've threatened to leave, and he just says, okay, go. So I grab my things and walk out the door.
Good. Go back to the beginning.
Ali is required to go over and over a traumatic event in her past.
I threatened to leave. I just said, I'm going to go then. And he said, fine, go. I don't really care if I never see you again. So I just walked out.
Good. Go back to the beginning and go over it again. Pay close
At the end of the
attention to
session,
what you
Ali
say.
felt euphoric.
I got quite upset at points, that quite emotional, and I even cried during it. And so after the session, I felt on a real high. I felt like I'd been released from something.
In Scientology, as in many of the cults, when they are shutting down the mind systematically, when they're shutting down emotion systematically, people will experience a kind of ecstasy by default, as we call it. There'll be a release of some kind of a pressure, and they'll feel this as a psychological high.
Frequently whilst on a high, Ali is taken to see the director of the pool mission, Roger Kay. He's always keen to sell her more courses. She's already spent £250 and claims to have little money left. Kay's recommending Ali should be audited for another 20 hours and do more courses, costing another £2,000. These sessions are often late at night.
You feel more confident about the future and what you want to do and that kind of thing.
So, and that improves your memory?
Yes, that's one of the things it does. There's other things to do with that.
And even after the centre closes, the hard sell continues. At the end of this lengthy session, so long that the batteries in her camera had run out, Ali makes a revelation.
I threw in a line that I had a disinheritance in Australia, and he became very interested in that. He didn't push me, but he slowly tried to find out ways how I could get that money, how I could fax the bank, how I could get it quickly. Even though I assured him I could get it in a couple of weeks, that wasn't soon enough for him.
Another day, another registrar, another form, and another tactic. Ali needs to move her car as her 2-hour parking ticket is about to expire.
I've got to get a new ticket for my car in the car park. Where is it?
The Scientologist insists on accompanying her. Ali's rarely left alone, even to go to the toilet, and she's escorted from office to office. It's a deliberate ploy, according to former staff member Stuart Boot.
The idea was that you weren't going to let them leave, because often you found if people had a moment or two to think, the chances are they'd leave or want to change their mind about the money they'd paid in for a course, which was often quite high.
Stuart Boot was fifth.
That reminded me of a civil case in court that one of the attorneys who fought Scientology pretty regularly, and I can't think of this guy's name right now. He was a good guy, but there was a client, this like 22-year-old kid who had a motorcycle accident, and he had suffered brain damage along with all sorts of other physical harm that came to him, and he actually had all the money that he got from a settlement from the insurance company, like $2 million, I think, or $1 million or $2 million, something like that. Scientology got their hands on all of it. And so for these attorneys like Graham Barry, I was taking the videotaped testimonies and converting them to a format that they could use in court. So I had a chance to watch all this testimony, and this kid is there with his mom as they're testifying. She needed to be there as well, and he just kept saying, "I want my money back. I want my money back." But they did the same thing to him, and they were testifying to this in court, where they would get $10,000 from at a time, and they would say, "Let's get in your car, and we're going to go down to the bank." And they would, go into the bank and get that money and just take it right from them over and over and over, because that is Scientology.
In command at Pool Mission until November last year. He attended many late-night meetings to decide which clients to hit financially.
It would become a money-orientated thing. You were looked at as to how many services that we could get out of you, and how much money we could milk you for.
Nuclear physicist Adam Bird was milked for £34,000. He went to the Scientologists for help with dyslexia, but ended up borrowing from various different banks to buy courses. Then several Scientologists came to lodge with him to help with the hefty interest payments.
During this event, they took over my life. I had not intended to put lodges in my house. I now had lodges in my house who were Scientologists, one of whom was quite high up in their command structure. To help pay again, another one of them had loaned my car and was supposedly paying me rent for it. I then didn't have any means of transport.
In America, Flo Conway and Jim Siegelman have been studying cults for the past 20 years. Their new research, which is about to be published, finds that Scientology has the worst long-term effects.
Among Scientologists in particular, people who come out of this group report to us very high levels of amnesia, memory loss, of insomnia, of disorientation, of hallucinations and delusions, of perceptions of bewildering psychic experiences that will plague them. In some instances, we've cataloged for up to 12 years after they leave the group.
Leaving Scientology was a traumatic experience for Gary Fry. Now married with a child, 2 years ago it was his mother's distress that broke through the Scientologist's control over his life.
The last straw was when my mum broke down into tears in front of me and basically startled with her emotions, startled me back into reality and what I was really doing in Scientology, what I was following.
Successful legal action secured the return of the £21,000 he'd paid them, but it was much harder to recover his mental health, though he says becoming a Christian helped.
It took me 2 months of real trauma in trying to leave it, and I went through times of suicidal depression, to times when I was just so depressed. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand what had happened to me. I couldn't understand what Scientology was all about.
While she was at Poole Mission, Ali kept hearing about this place, Saint Hill. This is where Scientology is controlled from in the UK. It's also the home of the Sea Organisation, the dedicated elite core of the Church of Scientology. Ali's next task is to get inside what's regarded as the Holy of Holies amongst devotees of Scientology.
Saint Hill Manor is just outside East Grinstead in Sussex. Ron Hubbard lived here until 1966. Ali is taken to the castle built in the grounds. This is where Scientology courses are taught, right up to the highest levels.
Okay. I went to St Hill just to look at the home of L. Ron Hubbard, and within an hour I was taken into the recruiter's office and I was asked if I wanted to join the Sea Organisation.
Here it's just like very dedicated, and that's all you do, right? Like you get berths and bed and, you know.
Right.
It certainly is dedicated. The recruiting officer fails to mention that Ali will be required to sign this billion-year contract if she joins. But she does explain that clearing the planet is a very big task.
Our purpose is really big because obviously to clear Earth, you know, and it takes a long, long time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 5 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
Former Scientologist John Atack has collected an enormous archive on the bizarre system of beliefs that Ron Hubbard invented. Clearing the planet means taking everyone up to the secret OT or operating Thetan levels. It can cost Scientologists around £20,000 to discover these inner mysteries.
Once you've paid an enormous amount of money and signed a covenant of secrecy, and you get onto the third OT level, you're told that a galactic prince called Xenu, some 75 million years ago, rounded up the populations of 76 planets, averaging 178 billion per planet, and brought them to Earth and clustered them together using hydrogen bombs, having dumped them in volcanoes.
The spirits of these exiles, or Thetans as Hubbard called them, on release from the volcanoes attach themselves to human beings. Here's one of them on the cover of one of his many books.
Scientologists who are doing OT levels come to believe that they're inhabited by thousands of little alien spirits, extraterrestrial spirits, and they're basically seeking to exorcise these spirits which are governing their behaviour and reactions.
Meanwhile, the Sea Organisation are determined to find out everything they can about Ali. She has to answer some very personal questions.
I had to list all of my sexual partners, everything I did with them, how many times, very, very detailed information. And I queried that because I was quite upset about that, and they said it was there to help me.
Yeah,
Scientology
sure.
keeps records on everything its recruits reveal. This information has been used to silence former members.
I've yet to meet anybody who hasn't done something embarrassing in their life. And Scientology will inevitably find out about it. Anything that hasn't been found out, or anything sexual that you've done that could be considered reprehensible. So the organisation does have a tremendous power over former members.
When inside Saint Hill, Ali saw a document about Scientology's chief critic John Atack. She put the document in her bag to read in the privacy of the toilet, meaning to put it back later. But unknown to Ali, the Scientologists were secretly filming her, secretly filming them. They called the police.
When I was arrested, it happened very suddenly. I found myself being taken out of the castle by the police, and all of a sudden all sorts of Sea Org members I'd never seen before, older ones who were quite scary looking, quite sinister, came out of the woodwork, and 3 or 4 of them were taking photographs or video footage of me. It was bizarre. Everyone was lining the corridors as I was walking out, looking at me, and as soon as I gave them eye contact, they'd look away from me like I was evil or something. It was an amazing experience.
We wanted representatives of Scientology to appear in this programme, but conditions for an interview could not be agreed. Scientology does not approve of open discussion of its beliefs. It calls journalists suppressive people and believes them to be irredeemably evil.
Ron Hubbard devised a special policy to deal with these perceived enemies of Scientology. It allows them to do anything to deter, discredit or destroy their critics. Journalist Russell Miller faced months of harassment as his biography of Hubbard neared publication.
Firstly, they kept informing the police that I was responsible for various crimes. And so the police would show up at my doorstep, want to know where I was on such and such a day. The first crime was the murder of someone in a pub in South London. And they had solid evidence that I was responsible for that, or so they thought.
After fighting countless lawsuits against Scientology, leading critic John Atack went bankrupt in May. He's been harassed by them since 1983.
I've been followed by private detectives. Private detectives have sought to interrogate my family, my wife's family. If you just write down a list of the worst possible things you can say about somebody, I've been accused of those things. Not just in whispering campaigns, but in print.
Scientology vigorously defends its freedom of belief, saying it improves life in a troubled world. But evidence is accumulating that it's one of the most destructive cults.
Scientologists who have come out of their group have reported some of the highest instances of suicidal and self-destructive tendencies afterwards. And many of them have told us that when they were in the group, they were warned that if they left Scientology, they would commit suicide within 6 months. Many of them left with enormous fear.
John Buchanan was a Scottish landscape gardener who worked in Germany. 3 years ago, John became involved in Scientology at the Munich mission. He piled up huge debts with several German banks to buy Scientology courses and materials. Last November, to escape his debts, he committed suicide. He left a final note for his mother, Mary MacDonald. He explained that he believed that he would come back to life and return to Scotland. For Scientology had taught John Buchanan to believe in reincarnation.
It definitely said that he was going to be reincarnated and come back in another life or another form, which obviously something that he was never brought up to believe in, and I just didn't know that he did believe in things like that.
John Buchanan did return to Scotland to be buried in this village churchyard in the Trossachs. When he died, among his few possessions were the Scientology books, tapes and equipment that had cost him thousands of pounds.
I feel that if it wasn't for Scientology, he'd probably still be here.
Ho, ho, Birdie.
Well, it's one of my favorite shows. I think they did a great job. The UK created some really spectacular shows on Scientology. And thanks to the critics who lived overseas, who compiled all of these tapes that were sent to me, I can share them to this day with you folks. So I hope you enjoyed that. It seemed like you did. Hearing from folks like, listen here, there's Bert Pineapple saying that was great. Thanks, Mark. You're welcome. Let's see. So, Oreo Ritz, also thanks me for sharing this. Happy to do so. Got tons of stuff to share with you. Not enough time to put everything together, it seems. But there's lots of great stuff out there. And it's amazing how much content is being created today by folks on the internet. Stuff I can't keep up with. But, I'm glad that there are folks out there spreading the word and creating little pockets of interested people who can spread out even farther. Because that makes all the difference. Seeing, people ask, how can I help? Well, talk to somebody else. What you learn, share it. Send people over to sites that have information. Send them to my channel. Send them to all the channels that are out there that have some good content. And tell them to just keep telling others. Spread the word. That's the biggest help that people can give. RIP to the fellow who lost his life there, took his own life. Yeah, it is tragic. It is shameful what Scientology can do to people. All right. Anything else that you folks wanted to talk about tonight? I am here to answer your questions, whether it's on Scientology or Orson Welles. I am prepared. Man, here's a question from Oreo Ritz. Have you ever saw the Braille channel? No, I don't think so. Braille, as in the blind alphabet? I have not seen it. That was a great clip. Mark says, Jay, John Atack hasn't aged, and he never will if all you do is watch the video. There was, let's see what this says here. There was an interview with a Braille employee earlier today. Didn't get to see a lot of it. So a Braille employee who got sucked into Scientology, let me know. Question, what was for dinner? Oh, man. You ask great questions. I had some ramen noodles right before coming on the air here. Oh, so that's why we started at 10:10 instead of 10. I was finally having something for dinner. So I'm living the high life here. Braille skateboarding. I don't even know what that is. Yours is the best, says Krista. You are the original videographer. Thank you, Mark. You're welcome. Okay. So the Braille skateboarder was on with Aaron. Okay. I'll have to check that out. So is this the guy, the skateboarder, Aaron Cairo? Sea Org in San Francisco? How about that? All right, Marcy's being reasonable here and going to bed. I don't blame you. Good night to you. Thanks for coming by. We're here on the late shift. So I'm trying to think what I'll dig up for tomorrow night. I'll have something. I have 22 hours to think of something to put on tomorrow. Got plenty of stuff there, just waiting to be posted. Lots of stuff that I captured and need to convert still. I was going through some of that today. But I am run out of steam myself. So I think I will say goodnight to you all. And I appreciate all of you folks coming by to spend some time here. Thank you for the super chats and for the nice comments. And I know that next time I see you, you're going to be fully dressed from Wise Beard Man hat down to some, Xenu bunny slippers from my store. So I really appreciate that. Hold on to your invoices just in case. But it's been a delight. Thank you for allowing me to sing for you. Anytime you have a number you want to hear, just let me know. Spite Lemon Self-Defense says, great doc, cheers. Cheers to you. I tip the Sprite Lemon to you. And Oreo Ritz says, good night. And Kelly, of course, being the perfect hostess that she is, says, thank you for everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And she speaks for me as well, but I'll say it too. Thank you for joining us here. And I'll see you all tomorrow night. Good night.
What are your crimes, Mark? Yes, what are your crimes, Mark? Your crimes are hidden, they should be seen. Spin all out, Mark, and just come clean.